We started off perfectly, you know, fastest in the opening practice, and then the weekend was still going really well. Like second practice was in the top positions, and you know, improving the bike, making little changes, and you know, I felt like we were making some progress. And then just as we were about to get into qualifying, everything changed and it started raining. So always challenging conditions, you know, the wet weather, but we didn't have time to make the bike, you know, completely altered to suit wet track. So the settings were more in the favour of dry, just with the wet tyres bolted in. But I was still able to do a good lap time and get third on the grid for the start of the race.
Here is Josh Brookes, then number 25 on the FHO Racing BMW. Where is Josh going? Potentially here, top 5.
That's Peter
He
Hickman.
is 5th at the moment. He's going to stay. Brookes goes 4th. But with just over a minute left, Halloran goes 6th. It's bettered by Iden. Josh Brookes goes to 3rd.
But that's where things started to go wrong. You know, the race just didn't feel right. You know, I got off the start. Kind of pushed around at the first turn, just drifted back further in the group, and finally ended up in quite a poor position. You know, if that wasn't bad enough, that also put me in further down the grid for today's first race. Although it's dry again today, it couldn't put really together a great race and move forward much. I'm sort of sat here at the moment a little bit disappointed with the final result in the second race. It was, you know, I put everything into the race I could, you know, tried to make as many passes as possible, took risks, but yeah, you know, starting in a bad position, grid position certainly makes things more difficult. So, you know, the crew have looked at what changes we can make and possibility to make the bike a little better for the final race, and now I can just hope that we get a better start and the bike feels good for this final ride.
Yeah, obviously we came into the weekend after a really tough Snetterton, probably the toughest weekend I've ever had, I think, in Superbike, even from when I started that in 2006, a long time ago. But anyway, came into the weekend, fresh set of ideas, reset, and P9 on Friday, I was happy enough with that in the combined times. Only 0.4 for my fastest ever lap here and half a second off pole. So pretty good, happy and content. Wanted to be inside top 10 really, that was the aim for the weekend. You know, I'm not in a position to be able to be pushing for podiums or wins even at the minute, especially after what we had at Snetterton, so it was really kind of try and have a solid weekend. And we've almost done that, you know. Qualified P10 in the rain, which was okay, finished 8th in the rain, which was okay. This first race today, not the best, the temperature I think played havoc with us in particular. Our bike really doesn't like when the track temperatures get really high. And yeah, it really kind of, no rear grip at all really from lap 1, which was super hard work, so I just went backwards really. I dropped back to about 15th at one point and managed to fight my way back to 12th in the end. So not a disaster, but not great. And then unfortunately in the last race we had made some changes, the bike was a lot better, and I was just off the back of the group that was from 6th to 10th, so not too far away, and they were all within striking distance, but unfortunately got a bit of a technical problem with the brakes, and it progressively was getting worse, and in the end I couldn't actually hang on to the bike, so unfortunately I had to pull out the last race, which is a massive shame and huge disappointment obviously when we want to be making sure we finish, and I need to build, you know, I just need to keep finishing and keep riding, not crashing it, which we've done this weekend, no crashes, so but yeah, it's just a bit of a shame, but we'll regroup again and head to Thruxton.
Ciao, my weekend for now is a bit hard, but was a good weekend. In the free practice we have do P18th, a lot of more fast than last year, and this year we have improved a lot. So qualifying was going so-so, and race 1 also, because I went in the group and we're fighting for the P14th, but I'm arrived 21st. In the second race I'm started 16th, and I was with the leading group all the race, but at one moment one other rider have hit me in the gravel in the first corner, so I'm crashed, and it's finished like this my weekend, but I know next race we can do a lot of better, we are fast, so I know we can do good.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend overall. I definitely took a positive out the last race. In the past I've really struggled with this track. It's always been a track that I've never got on well with in such, but after that race I think I've left here a bit more confident, and definitely confident to come back here next year. My times were coming back to me in the last race, and I think I was learning better entries, where I'm exited and just picked up a lot more corner speed, so the confidence was there. But building up to it, I've had a bit of a tricky weekend with setup, especially around here. It's so difficult with suspension, so I had a few problems and that put me back. But we've sorted that out. In race 1, I went out on wets, which I don't think was the best move as it was pretty dry towards the end of the race, so lost grip. But again, it was just good to have a bit of track time, and it just gave me confidence really in the start of the race. Yeah, I definitely felt better after this race. Struggling to get off the line a bit, so it did put me back, but once I was going, I really enjoyed myself and I had a really good race in the end, and I'm definitely looking forward to Alton as it's one of my favourite tracks.
Not really had the best weekend. I think in practice I was just had a bad year last year here, so I think this is a bit of a bogey track for me, but practice I was just like learning my lines and stuff again. I had a bit of a mechanical towards like midway through. I can't remember if I was mechanical in practice or qualifying. Can you remember? It was practice. And then in qualifying, I found that like with other qualifyings, I've not really been getting myself in a group, and everyone that seems to be doing well in qualifying seems to be in a group. So I pulled in and went out with a group, and I went like 2.5 seconds faster than I did in practice. So I was happy with that. I started 19th, and then race 1, it was a bit, conditions were a bit in between. I think I ended up 17th in race 1. And then in this race, I had a really good start. I was like within like top 10 into turn 2, and I got hit. So then it sent me all the way to the back. So I had to start making my way all the way through again. So yeah, not the best. I just think because I knew I had to be aggressive, I tried to be aggressive, but when you're aggressive, you also get hit as well. So I just got a bit unlucky really, but I'm gutted, but there's always next round, so yeah, you move.
Just found it difficult to match the rhythm. Once I was in a group, I felt like I was better throughout practice and qualifying when I was on my own. So you know, we made a few little tweaks to the bike and hoped that it would improve for the final race. And I only made it to the first corner. I got squeezed at turn 1 off the start with nowhere to go. I was rubbing up against the side of Ryan Vickers with Haslam up the inside of me, and I come off the worst, end up with, you know, leaving the track itself and end up in the gravel and unfortunately crash. So, yeah, really disappointing way to finish out the weekend. So all we can do now is literally dust ourselves off and come back to the next round, which is Thruxton.